What is up, everybody? I'm Sean.
And I'm Tom. And
And
we're
we're
the
the Block
Block Bros.
Bros. Fuck you, that was so close. Why'd you have to ruin it? No, kidding. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here on another episode of the Block Bros. Tom, tell me about your week or however long. I don't know. Tell me about what you've done since, I don't even know, last time we did an episode, like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Something like that. What have you done? What have you done with your life?
I don't know. We went mini golfing. That was pretty fun.
That was pretty fun. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, like who knew like a mini golf course would be open till like 2 a.m, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no joke. If you guys have never been to Can Wonderland, I don't know how many people are from Minnesota, but like it's a great like mini golf place and totally worth it to go in for a whole night of just arcade machines. Realizing you're almost 30 when you run out of breath after one round of Dance Dance Revolution. Like yeah, it's just a pretty good night. Other than that, threw my shoulder out from playing 25 holes of mini golf with you the other day, which was
disc golf, not mini golf.
Yeah, or disc golf. Sorry, yeah, just messed that up. But yeah, disc golf just fucking wrecked me, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, like.
Yeah, but I mean, pretty much that's all I really had to talk about. Nothing major's happened with me besides we all hung out. We went Can Wonderland and played mini golf, and that was super fun, like Tom said. And then we played 25 rounds of disc golf. I did have 25 holes of disc golf in one day. I did have a different experience at Can because I feel like Tom was talking about how he's like, oh, I played DDR. My favorite experience was seeing all the machines from like all the arcade machines from like 50 years ago, because they're not like when people think of like old arcade machines, they think of like cabinets with like Pac-Man and stuff. And in reality, there's like these other ones that are like mechanical in nature. They're not even like it's not like TVs with like screens in it. It's like you have like a marble and you flick it and it hits into like a thing and it decides how far your little mechanical horse goes. Like stuff like that is what I really enjoyed about Can Wonderland. It feels like it was really cool. It gave me a different side of games that I didn't know that I enjoyed, but I liked it a lot. So that was my favorite thing that I did while we were gone, for sure.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Good time.
So, I'll talk about what we're talking about today, since I said I would take that. Sorry, I totally forgot for a second there. So, the game that we're talking about tonight, chat, is I would say it's probably my so far favorite game that I've played this year. I know that might draw some criticism later in the podcast when we get into it, but this is my favorite game that I think I've played all year on my stream, and it is a game called I totally lost the name of it. BackBone. BackBone is a noir style indie game set in the future dystopian Vancouver, Canada. You take the role of a raccoon private investigator, and the world is dark and gritty and full of the worst things that your mind can imagine. So you got to be prepared to journey into chaos and events that you don't want to see as they unfold before you. The game was developed by a studio called Eggnut and published by a developer called Raw Fury. It was released in June 2021 for basically every console, and it's rated PEGI 16 plus because it is decently dark. With that being said, I'm going to pass it to my friend Tom to talk about the storyline. Wait, we did that backwards. I was supposed to do the storyline.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I was like, we discussed it, and then you just took it away. I'm like, I ain't stopping him. So
shit, my bad. We had like a whole like before this thing even started. We're like, yeah, no, I'll do that, and I'll do that, and then I just fucking. Right. I fucked it up. We haven't done this in a couple weeks. Sorry.
Yeah,
but if you want to do it, whatever you want to do.
Take on some story here. I'm just
prepare
gonna
yourself.
Kind of like, yeah, there is so much here in what I like to call. I have nicknamed this game, by the way, Zootopia Noir.
All right. Okay, that's both fair and accurate. I can't be mad about that.
Like, it is, and you can't fucking deny. But, like, there is, like, kind of spoilers ahead, kind of not. I might give, like, kind of, like, a vague description of what goes on here. But, basically, you are a private investigator, Harold Lotar. You're hired to gather some evidence about your cheating husband. But while on the investigation, you understand that shit is about to get super dark. You understand that a place called the Bite, a really popular restaurant among like the higher ups in town, has been actually um killing and distributing people, basically like other animals and stuff. Like they're shipping them off, and you can kind of pick up why they're doing it. At first, of course, it's like kind of taboo to like eat people in this society because it's basically cannibalism, and it used to
Mhm.
be considered like ritualistic almost. Anyway, just moving on, that you kind of like want to just dig deeper into it because you find like a source of meaning in it, and it kind of leads you into higher society, and like you understand how corrupt everything is becoming. um your investigation after like reaching in the higher ups and discovering that they've been eating people is that like you go and start oh my god, this is, I'm not gonna lie, the reason I'm stuttering right now is, unlike before, this is where everything literally gets so confusing to me in the story that I kind of like just don't know where to go. But you start connecting everything to Science City, and you basically interrogate a scientist there into what's going on, and he's been tampering with something called the artifact. Upon you touching it, essentially it binds with you, and you start having huge blisters all over your body, and trying to recover, you kind of black out and end up like going on a rampage, essentially killing your best friend before hiding out. um like it gets really weird beyond this point,
Yeah, it's
like.
weird turn.
um okay, so essentially at this point, after getting kidnapped again after a hiding out, you're and they're doing experiments on you. You escape and just start walking into nothingness, and basically just kind of die. I'm vaguely getting through the story here because I really don't want to explain like too much here because it gets so
Mhm.
much more in depth than this. But goddamn,
So
that midway point really just kind of screwed me up.
yeah, that Tom has been talking about this for a couple days to me since he just played it. Basically, yeah, just to paraphrase what he said, essentially, you're a raccoon private detective, and you play through an investigation, find a body, and trace it back to the higher ups eating people, and then you meet a reporter who's trying to expose everything. You and the reporter, trace everything back to Science City. You go to Science City and buy to the artifact, like Tom was saying, and then your story branches off, and then her story branches off too, and she actually becomes the leader of a revolution to
Yeah,
change all of the things that are wrong with society. So it's just like it's at its core, it is a dystopian noir story game with animal influence. Like that's pretty much it. Like you're spending most of the time picking dialogue choices and the outcomes. I mean, we'll get into that more later, but you're picking dialogue games, and it is a noir story game. So that's pretty much the storyline. I think that's the best way we can get through it without spoiling a bunch of stuff. But that's pretty much it, right?
yeah. There's so many in-depth like little pieces, and there's so many things like I have tried like, I mean, I spent about as long like trying to find stuff on the story as I played the actual game, like just like at least half as long, and it's just like no one has been able to completely able to explain like why this feels like it goes from a noir game to a science fiction kind of game to me out of
hmm
like nowhere, and such a drastic turn that I just had like trouble just following the story a bit after that. But like all in all, it's just so deep that's crazy, and I love more like the world they built with the story than
Yeah,
the actual story, if that makes sense.
yeah. And I had ChatGPT summarize Tom's original outline of it, and I think the last line kind of really uh, says everything that we're trying to say. So the game's themes of power, inequality, and prejudice are explored throughout the game, challenging players to think critically about the society they inhabit. The game's world is beautifully crafted with a unique animal-driven setting that combines the elements of noir-style detective stories with a dystopian sci-fi atmosphere. And I think that basically is exactly what we're saying, just better put together. Hire ChatGPT because we suck apparently.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's just I really like the. There's just so I mean the rich are literally eating the poor in this
Yeah.
game, like which is fucking nuts. You know, like great apes are considered like the highest among society, and like lions and stuff, and then like like rats and shit are just like among the lowest here. It's kind of like just crazy how many society ties they make just with animals.
Yeah, they really it's very similar to like you said earlier, that movie Zootopia. Like it is very similar to that because like as the private eye, you're a raccoon, and even when you're playing the game, people treat you like shit. Like people just
Yeah.
treat you like shit because you're a raccoon. They call you some offensive names that I had a hard time reading on stream, and I'm not gonna repeat here, but they really don't pull the punches on the what I would consider like racism of the game.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And while I don't endorse it, I do think it is important that they didn't pull the punches on making it feel very thorough, from what I imagine.
Right, man.
But that's something that we can get into later when we talk more about the game itself. As far as the storyline is concerned, you're a raccoon detective. You detect some shit, and then everything goes wrong. Yeah, right. Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
We
At
should have
least
just wrote
that
that.
you detect. You basically swipe
You swipe some shit, and then eventually you swipe too much shit, and then you're wrong. But
right.
it's a great story. It's just really hard to get into fully without too many spoilers. So with that being said, let's move on to graphics and art.
Graphics and art.
You want to take it away on graphic and art?
Yeah, I mean, god damn, this game is gorgeous. Like, absolutely 100% like one of the most gorgeous pixel games I've like ever seen. Like, everything about it is just I mean, it's pixel graphics made in Unreal 4 is the thing.
Mhm.
So it's like at the max pixel rate you can get, which I believe is like 400 something. But the way they did it to make things sometimes look blocky and sometimes not is just pure perfection. There is literally every inch of this game is detailed. Every single pixel has a meaning in this game. Like, down to the way the rain falls and it hits the ground and the reflections on the street. Like, I have never actually seen a pixel game like this fucking beautiful. Like, honestly, everything about it, like the way the shadows cast, the way the light interacts, like the way the characters look, everything is just I don't know. I can't even do this describing it justice. Like, it's such a beautiful game in of itself.
Yeah. I definitely agree. And just so everyone is aware, the game, like Tom said, was made in Unreal Engine 4. The pixel graphics were inspired by film noir, weird sci-fi, and post-Soviet aesthetics. So I think that all of that together really ties into what Tom's saying about how beautiful this game actually is. It is. That's the first thing I noticed when I was playing it. I was honestly like taken aback by just how pretty this game is. It is a work of art to look at it. Like, there's no other statement that could be described. It looks like art. It just looks like a painting. It's phenomenal. I love every part of it. With that being said, there are 4 main artists that worked in the game. At least that's what we could find. I'm gonna fuck up all of their names, and I'm sorry in advance. We got Toma Klopenia. We got Christina Dashkevsky. I'm assuming that's these got to be like some kind of Russian name. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Kirill Simonovko and Julia Migacheva. Sorry, I am a filthy American. If I mispronounced your name and you're listening to this podcast, feel free to send me hate. But that is the 4 main artists that worked on this game that we could find, and they did a phenomenal job. This is easily my favorite looking game of 2023 that I've played.
Yeah. Honestly, it's just uncomparable to anything. They really did a good job making sure that every piece of the screen that was foreseen has meaning to it, like no matter where you look. It could be the smallest like little window and you're gonna see someone in there doing something. Or you're gonna like look at the street and see the way like the car shadows go across the road and the way the water hits it and actually ripples and affects. It's it's something I've never seen done so well in a pixel game, you know, like it's like a moving painting of pixel art.
I also like how they draw attention to certain things and then distance other things. Like when you're walking, there are some people that aren't fully in focus, which like when you're walking, you're not noticing you're not when you don't look at everyone's face in full detail if you're just walking past someone. You see them in passing. And I feel like it really adds to that effect. Like it really changes they view the world from a very real standpoint, I feel like, with the art, and I like that a lot about it.
Right.
Cool. So if you had to rate this out of 10 for the graphics, Tom, where would you rate this?
I got a 9.8.
9.8 for Tom. I'm definitely going to give this a high rating as well because, like I said, it was literally the most beautiful game I've played so far in 2023. So I'm going to put 9.5 for me because who knows? I might come across something that's better. It's still early. It could happen. We still got a couple months left.
I don't know if anyone could make a better pixel looking game than this, to be quite honest, just with the level of like detail they put into literally just everything. It's just wicked impressive, you know.
I fully agree. With that being said, let's move on to sounds and music.
Sounds and music.
This is another big aspect that I like about this game a lot because when you think about noir, at least for me, I think about like jazz, big band jazz, right?
Yeah, it's got that nice like. Wait, it's not like big band jazz. It's like soft
It's like
jazz.
yeah, it's like I don't know. It's jazz. It's jazzy. It sounds good. That this game has that. It has the actual,
It's got
the
that
jazz that
Sin
you think
City
about.
jazz going on, you know. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
and like that just plays. It makes the game so much more real, and even like the sound effects of the cars going by, or like people talking, or just like the city at night. It just sounds like that, and I don't know. They did an amazing job on the sounds as well. If the graphics could be accompanied by anything, it should be the sound, and I feel like the sound really hits home on this one. And the composer, again, I don't speak other languages besides English, so if I mispronounced it, I'm sorry. Nikita Danshin absolutely killed it. That was the composer for this game, and I cannot get enough of the sound from this. How about you?
yeah. Honestly, it's like there is definitely a lot of good sound in this. Another thing I like is all the music that is like made in this game is absolutely like gorgeous. Like all the singing done is like, oh my god, she's whoever sings in this, she is a prime like singer. Like all of that is just gorgeous. Just to sit down and like listen to like that number in full that she'll sing at like I think she only does like two or three of them, but the one I always remember is the first one at the bar, the
The
bite.
bite, yeah.
Yeah, and the second one is in Act 4. There's a scene when you're in a campfire and she does like this song, and it was just so like fucking beautiful, man. It's like, oh my god, it was such a I've never heard like such a good musical just piece in a game that I've never heard like music wise anywhere else. It's a full blown like hit, you know.
Yeah, and like it's just difference where it's like lounge singing, like lounge singers from back in the day. That's what it sounds like.
Yep. I'd say the only thing this game really needs sound wise is voice acting because
That's where I was going next. Yeah, for sure.
it's just not there, and in this kind of game it's like perfect for voice acting. Like this is an
Mhm.
absolutely perfect game that you need like voice acting, and then they don't have it. But I mean, you know, I'd rather no voice acting than bad voice acting. But
That's true. That is
yeah,
that is the delicate balance, and especially with a game that is this dialogue heavy, because most of it is you talking to people, you making choices, you talking to people on the street or interviewing people. You are going to be reading nonstop, and it can get a little draining. I'm not gonna lie to you, but also it is. I mean, for me, it was fun to make up my own voices for everybody. So
Yeah, no
But
doubt.
I agree that if any game were to have voice acting that we've seen, this is definitely the one. You know, I wish they would have put voice acting in, but like you said, no voice acting is better than bad voice acting. So at least they decided on that. You know.
Yeah, I just think it would help me connect with the characters just a bit more on like another level if I could like hear what they sound like. Like if I could connect a voice to our main character or Clarissa or like anyone in this story, I think it would just bring it to like that another level, you know?
Yeah, it would definitely be like my one of my favorite games ever for sure.
Yeah.
With that being said, give me a score out of 10 for the sound audio.
Sound wise, like an 8.3, you know? It could use if it had like voice acting, it would definitely be up in the nines, but
Yeah, I fully agree that I was gonna give it an 8.2 because like it's definitely just that one little thing would have sent it off, but the rest of it, the ambient sound, the music, the singing when it has it is perfect, absolutely flawless.
right.
With that being said, let's move into features and content.
Features and content.
If you guys have never been to the podcast before and you've never seen it, features and content is where we put everything, the meat and potatoes of the podcast, where we put everything that doesn't fit neatly into another category. So, where do you want to start with features and content, Tom?
Let me see here. Sorry, I was looking at another screen. Just start with just the most obvious thing in this game is probably like all the dialogue kind of boxes that goes on. You know, first and foremost, this is like a pick your own whatever the heck you're gonna say adventure kind of like game. You know, like everything you say is gonna like kind of like determine what the next person next to you is gonna say. You generally like I like to say in these kind of games you have the good, you have like the neutral, and you have kind of like the dick things you can say. But each one feels like personal, you know, like no dialogue choice in this game. It feels like everything actually has meaning, even if it kind of like leads to the same outcome. The way you say it and the way people interact with it, like, is really cool, you know?
I think I had the exact opposite effect when I played, because I tried a lot of different dialogue choices multiple times, and it feels like it was leading you to a specific choice.
Yeah.
And I didn't love that. Like it does give you the option to pick other things, but eventually you run out of dialogue and it makes you pick the one that it wanted you to pick all along.
Yeah.
So while I agree with you that there are a lot of options and they do feel meaningful, the game wants you to go a specific way, which I
That
didn't
is
agree
true.
with.
Yeah.
But it does make it feel like you have, because it gives you like the whole range of emotions of what you like. Tom said, the good, the bad, and in between. It gives you the whole range of emotions, but it really wants you to pick one to advance the story.
Yeah. I mean, eventually, like, it'll lead to, like, those questions. I'm just saying, like, I just like that you can pick, like, whatever kind of personality, like, you're kind of going for before, like, you get to, like, that last question, you know? Like,
Yeah, no, I agree with what you said. I wanted to make sure that I included that in there because that was one of the only gripes I had about the game was that it felt like I was definitely being shoehorned to pick a specific thing. Like, well, I had the option to be a dick at all times, or I had the option to be elusive at all times. It really wanted you to pick a certain thing eventually, you know?
right.
But I do like that there was so many different options for you to go through before you got to that. That's an interesting way of doing it.
Yeah. I guess you.
I think I want to talk about that there is a good amount of puzzles in this game. They're not like incredibly difficult. Like ones that stick out to me were the one in the bite where you had to figure out the door passcode or stuff like that based on what's around you. Like they weren't super difficult. They're you just gotta use your brain a little bit and find the things around you that give you a passcode. You know, like there's stuff like that where they're easy enough that they're not frustrating. But there are a couple puzzles in this game, and I think everyone should be aware of that it does include a variation of puzzles. It's not just dialogue all the time.
Yeah. I either wish I wish like the puzzles were harder and definitely like a few kind of more, because
Mhm.
sometimes it feels like they put a couple in the beginning of the game and it kind of like sprinkled in like what it could be like and stuff and figuring out clues and stuff. But then like kind of like midway, like I said, like with the story too, it just kind of like flip flops and it's like, you know what? No, there is no more clues. I just you're just kind of along for the ride, essentially. You know.
Yeah, it definitely transitions from like a noir to sci-fi like pretty quick like that. Like the noir, I mean, you play a detective. You are a detective in this game. I feel like there should be a couple more puzzles. I agree with you completely.
Mm-hmm.
What else you attack bet?
Let me let's see. There is like a slight amount of stealth mechanics, I guess, if you want to call stealth in this game. I literally think I remember sneaking on, I think, 3 or 4 occasions. So, it's essentially like you're just crouching down, right? And at the same time, you're kind of like figuring out a little bit of puzzles here and there, but you have to like sneak across some enemies sometimes, and if they catch you, you'll fail, a level and stuff. But honestly, this game really isn't at all about stealth. I think they just kind of like were like, you know what, we just need a couple in here and whatnot, just kind of sneak through past, just because of like the setting. I think more than actually using like stealth as part of the game, they're using stealth because it's necessary for him to use stealth in the situation he's in, if that makes sense.
No, that 100% was exactly right. And I feel like if I could just like I feel like they're peppering it in to add like dramatic flair because like it's at the points where like you said you would sneak in the game. Like you would try to sneak into a building, you try to sneak past guards, you would try to you'd sneak for reasons that were specific to the game. It wasn't like a lot of games try to indulge you in like forced stealth missions, which I don't agree with because those are usually really shitty. But in this game, I felt the actual need to not get caught when I'm trying to find something. I'm a private eye. I don't want to get caught. I want to be stealthy. And even on the same lines as that, there are certain conversations in the game where you can be stealthy. Like specifically when you're talking to Clarissa at the bite for the first time, you can lie about who you are. I would consider that stealth. Like in
Yeah.
its own way, because I did. I lied to her about who I was, and she saw through it and called me out on it. But I had the option to lie, and I had the option to be stealthy. So, stealth is I mean, if you're a private eye, you don't want everyone knowing you're a private eye. So I get it.
Right. God damn. I totally didn't even know it for. I was wondering like what Clarissa was, and then the game finally was like, "Oh, Clarissa's a bear." I'm like, "Oh, why didn't I fucking see that earlier?" I was like, "I am fucking blind." Like,
She's a polar bear, dog.
yeah,
I think her name is like, isn't it like Clarissa Bloodridge or something? I don't even remember.
yeah, like. There's just like I remember like with one part of the game they're like there's a rumor around that she's going around banging apes and I'm like I'm like what is this game like
Something that we didn't include in this, but I definitely think we need to talk about it. It is just like the actual underlying themes, and I'm not going to get fully into it because I know that makes people uncomfortable, but like this game hits on some really uncomfortable real life themes that were very prevalent in everywhere and still are to this day, and it does not pull the punches about things like racism or like class structure or just like murder in general or cheating or drugs
there
and
is
a
sex
substance abuse.
trafficking in this
Yeah,
game, like cannibalism,
it's
literally
very dark.
everything in that connects like they're trying to draw like the lines from like high society doing the fucked up things, and like it's just it's like fucked up like and like Sean mentioned there's like drugs in this game. Like one of the main drugs is called monkey butt.
Monkey butt. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know
Which
why
is
it's called
funny,
monkey
but
butt?
like
Yeah. It's supposed to be funny though. It's because it sounds harmless and everyone giggles and it says monkey butt and it catches your attention and you never forget it. So people want to try it and then people get hooked on that shit. And it gets mixed with like other drugs in that
it's
game.
literally meth. It's literally actually just meth because meth is an ecstasy and heroin and like a bunch of other shit. So like it's monkey butt is literally has direct correlations to meth. and crack and shit. So it's just it's really bad. And they do not, and I repeat, they do not pull the punches on that kind of stuff. So if that makes people uncomfortable, this is definitely not the game for you. But if you're okay sitting through some uncomfortable conversations that make you feel certain ways, this is definitely a amazing I don't know, like a portrayal of society as a whole. You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly,
at least I considered that. I don't know. I was like, they can't just call people that. Like when they were saying like they were calling like the raccoon like a striper. I was like, that just seems bad, bro.
Oh yeah,
that just seems horrible.
Oh yeah,
but,
no, it's like the class structure in this game where, like I said, if you're like a rat or a raccoon, you're a second class citizen, or if you're a cat or a dog, you're kind of upper middle. But if you're like
an apex predator,
if you're like an ape, you like run the country essentially, like. Which is...
Yeah, it's just like it's hard at certain moments to play this game, but I think that it's worthwhile to get through because it really does not pull punches, which in a world of games like like cozy games, I really enjoy games that don't fuck around, like that do not don't like pull the punches or try to pull the wool over your eyes. Like they just fucking hit home and do not care. And I love that. I love that about this game. What else did you want to talk about?
Let's see here. What do we have? Honestly, like kind of like I know I've touched on kind of confusing parts in this game, but I really just kind of like want to touch on like I really don't know why the direction changes so hardcore, you know? Like
yeah, I feel like that's something that we definitely can't just gloss over. So
like it's like okay, like honestly, like I love the prologue so much in this story, and the build up to everything is so fucking wild, especially like when you find like the cannibalism like kind of part and all of that. But then as soon as it like introduces Science City and connecting there and going to the scientists involved, like it's like the game totally lost me. Like I said, I played this game complete through, and it's like I read everything in depth as much as I could. I dug everything up. And I just like I'm like looking at it like, man, I just can't figure out what direction this game has gone in. Like it's so confusing and baffling to me that like you would just kind of take like what's a brilliant startup and set up to be like what feels like a Heavy Rain inspired story, and then like kind of change your mind halfway through a game. Like I've never seen that before.
I think it goes back to the creators of the game, because like when we were talking about the graphics, like when I talked about it, was the graphics were inspired by these things, and they were inspired by film noir, weird sci-fi, and post Soviet aesthetics. Like you get the noir in the beginning, you get the aesthetics when you're playing this post Soviet aesthetics. You really get that a lot, and then they were like, okay, well, we really like sci-fi too. Let's just shove that in somewhere, and it feels incredibly forced for no reason. I would have loved I would have loved that if they would have just made this like a straight up like noir game, like all the way through and through. Like you are a detective, you are trying to finish this case, you're trying to bring down the people that are doing the bad thing, and then to just shove the sci-fi in, I wasn't a fan of that either. I don't like that they did that, but we're not the creators. I would have preferred if they would have made a completely different, like make a sci-fi game. Hell yeah, with like the same aesthetics and everything, but just make it sci-fi. Super cool. But to throw the sci-fi in at the like basically the halfway to end point of the game was a little weird. I didn't love that. I could understand why, because it was supposed to be like a twist, I would assume.
Yeah.
But like, and then also it just feels like when Tom said he did a bunch of research, I did some right before the beginning of this, and it was just them, like everyone just saying like it's basically an open ending. It's supposed to be up to interpretation, and there's all these half baked like essays written about the reason it's called BackBone is because all the main characters showed some kind of backbone. And it's like just like a bunch of weird half-baked ideologies of people saying things, but like at the end of the day, I think it's just like they just wanted to put sci-fi in there.
Right.
And they just chose to throw it in at the end for a twist, which it was a twist. Is it a good one? That's up to your own personal discretion, I guess.
Right.
You know?
Regarding the name BackBone, spoiler ahead if you don't want to know the exact ending, is like at the end your back literally explodes from the artifact and the boils in like the middle of the fucking desert, and it just exposes your backbone. I'm like, is that why they fucking named it Backbone? Because it
See, that's what
literally
I'm
shows
saying.
his backbone.
Yeah, like it could be because of that, or it could be because of the ideological choices, or whatever. Like there's a lot of interpretation that it could be, but I also agree with you that I don't know if necessarily it was a bad choice to sci-fi. I'm still stirring about it. I don't know if it was a bad choice. I think I got to play it again.
I think it was the most fucking like kind of, it's like you're climbing up a mountain and you decide like the mountain next to your mountain looks like a better mountain, and so you decide to fucking climb that one,
All right. I mean, that's a totally valid thing to say. You know what's funny? I think that's the first time you've done an analogy on the podcast that wasn't about food. So
proud of me.
I'll take it, dude. Fuck it. It's different. But no, that is a very good way to put it. I just think that they wanted a twist, and it was an easy, convenient way to get a twist. You were already in Science City, they just threw something in. But like I said, I would, if it were up to me and I was the director, I would have just done a full-on noir game all the way through, and then made a second game that was sci-fi related in the same world. That'd be cool.
Like,
but
you could connect it more to like the really high society, I think that would have been like a cooler kind of, part, how they were kind of attributing it to that, like the people like getting eaten by higher society. I think if it would have gone more like on that route and like investigated like into like, I don't know, whatever kind of fucking CSI shit, like that might have been like cooler,
I mean, they kind of brought it back from my understanding, because they were talking about like Clarissa, the bar owner, who was supposedly part of this whole thing, was actually like trying to save people from being eaten, because it was like supposedly like a ritualistic thing, more of a ritualistic thing than anything else. And then they also bring it back when they have Renee, who is your reporter friend, becoming like the leader of the revolution to bring down the society. So like they did it, but they did it really weakly. I think, in my opinion, I think they took what would have been like a literal 10 out of 10 game for me and knocked it down to like a 9, because they just decided to fuck the ending up a little bit, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, they tried to make shit like just too confusing with it, It's like at the end I was just like, wait, what do you mean Clarissa's good? You were like killing people and then like feeding them to like rich people and like taking, like lesser society, making them into whores and then sneaking them out of the city. Like, I'm so confused.
I think there's more that we could gain from playing it again, for sure. But I don't know, dude. Like, it was really good. I will say it was really good, and I loved every minute of it. It's definitely my favorite game this year so far. But at the same time, they could have, in my opinion, again, they could have just made it a little different. But I didn't make the game, so. Speaking of the game, though, I would like to highlight its accolades, because it does have quite a few. So this is just a list of awards that this game has won. I just wrote them down. I don't know exactly what a lot of them are, but this is what it's won. It's won the Aggro Crab Seal of Quality, the 2009 Strasbourg Indie Game Contest Best Indie Game, Epic Mega Grants recipient, Epic Games Disgusting Men Grand Prix, Epic Games Disgusting Men Best Art, and Epic Games Disgusting Men Best PC Game. So it's won a lot of accolades, and I think it does deserve them. Yeah. Regardless of how we feel about the ending, it deserves all those accolades.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think it gets it mostly for its sheer beauty and the kind of world it builds in of itself more than like everything. But yeah, it definitely deserves.
Sounds like, I'm not fucking over this.
I mean, I'm serious. It's like, it's ripping in half the end of a sci-fi book and the first half of a detective book and going, like,
oh, you forgot, and also throwing in a DVD copy of Zootopia.
And yeah, fucking copy of Zootopia Noir. Yeah, god damn.
You're right, though. I mean, you're not wrong, but I can understand why people could argue the contrary and like look for a deeper meaning. You know what I mean?
Right. Hey, Sean, I'm just saying, when you stream this game, you technically should have given all the animals Canadian accents, because this game
Oh
does
my god,
take
it takes
place in
place in Canada. Yeah,
it
I
takes
didn't.
place in Vancouver. So
I
all
gave
of these
everyone like New
animals are
York.
technically Canadian.
I gave them like New York accents, bro.
Right. Yeah. Vancouver,
Who do
the
you
new
think? Completely unrelated. What kind of? Because Drake's from Canada. What do you think? What kind of animal do you think Drake would be in this game?
Oh my god. Um,
Off the top
uh
of my head, I just want him to be like an elephant. I don't know why.
man.
That's just my thought. I don't know. Like a rapping elephant would be tight.
Right. Uh
He'd probably be
God
like a
damn.
lion or something stupid though.
Yeah, I was gonna say coming at
Um.
fucking Drake coming at you and he's a platypus for some fucking reason. Like yeah, I'm just playing.
So just so you guys know, you can if you are interested in playing this game without paying for it, the complete first act of the game, it is divided into 4 acts. The complete first act of this game is free on Steam. So if you're a PC user, you can just go on Steam, type in BackBone Prologue, it'll pop up, and you can play the first full act for free. It's a lot of dialogue that sets the mood for the game. So if you're interested in that, it is for free on Steam. And then also coming soon, because they are expanding on this world. A prelude is coming out to this game, a prelude called Tales: The Backbone Prelude. I have no idea what's about. I haven't like read into it at all, but I am a little excited. I probably will play it because, like I said, this has been my favorite game this year, so I probably will end up playing it.
Right. Fucking raccoon in college. I don't know.
I'm assuming that it'll be like, I'm hoping it'll be him as a younger raccoon.
I'd imagine.
Like that would be pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like that would be actually pretty because I will say the actual story building of like your character and the characters around you is really good. Like I really liked Harold. I really liked learning about him. And I didn't like Renee. Renee sucked. But I also really liked your cabbie friend, your best friend in the game. And like all the other dudes, like all the other random NPCs you can talk to are the world building is phenomenal. Also threatening to beat up shopkeepers was pretty fun too. Because they wouldn't
Right.
give me information.
Yeah, no doubt. I like that you can like I don't know, in, like my instance, like helping out like the young kid by because he's like, hey, no, you gotta you make him move. He's selling porn in his station. Like make him move. I'm like, goddamn, that's just so accurate though. Like
Or even what was the thing I was gonna say? Oh, there was this one actually really wholesome moment in the game that I really enjoyed, where there was this old lady on a bench that was lonely and was like, "Oh, my husband died. Like, I'm really lonely." And then there's like another dude on the corner that's like an old man that's like, "I just want someone to spend time with," and you can like hook them up and put them on the bench together, and like it's
oh
really actually adorable. Like it. That's what I'm saying. The world building is phenomenal. The NPCs are great. The dialogue choices are pretty good. So all in all, it is an amazing game. Just I don't get the ending. I gotta replay it. I have to replay it for sure.
yeah.
Anything else you want to add in features and content though?
No, not that I can think of, you know. It's just
Nice. I feel like we nailed it. I feel like we
Mhm.
got through that pretty quick. All right, movement and controls.
Movement and controls.
This game is a side scroller essentially. So there's a lot of point and click on dialogue options, and then like side scrolling, like using either a thumbstick to move one way or a keyboard and point and click. I think
yeah.
there's really no. It's very basic. There's no amazing, crazy things. I mean, a lot of it's point and click. Like when you come across like something, like a door or like a object you want to interact with, you just click on it.
Yeah, it's
It's
like
pretty easy.
yeah, it's a realistic kind of running sim, you know, you kind of like run at like a regular speed, you know, you don't have like any insane jumps or anything, you know, you're just like a regular it's weird. You're a human-esque, you know, raccoon. So you run like an actual human being, though you're a raccoon. Like
Yeah. It's good though. Like it doesn't feel. There's no like what I expected to see honestly was like at one point where I'd have to like have like a chase scene, and as far as I can remember, there was no like chase scene
no,
anywhere
or
in this game, which was
nope.
nice because like I'm so sick of games that require you to have like chase scenes. I don't know.
Yeah, but I feel like
Okay.
honestly, like this game actually would do good with at least one fucking chase scene. Now that I think about it, it feels like it's missing, and I feel like honestly, just you don't need like 5 of them. Just put in fucking one, and
I mean, like I could see
if you
it, but
get caught,
I don't necessarily
fuck it.
want it. Yeah, I don't necessarily want it personally, but I could see the appeal for it, I guess.
Right. You don't want that classic detective fucking rooftop run scene, like.
Maybe. All right, like wheels in a leg, man. Like down.
Yeah, basically like fucking narrow.
Wheels in the leg, man. No, but I could see it. I could see the appeal to it. I don't think this game needed it, but I could see why other people would like it to be in this game, personally.
Right.
With that being said, let's move into closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts.
So closing thoughts. We're just gonna wrap up the whole podcast here, the whole shebang. Where would you put this on a replayability factor, Tim? Out of
Like
10.
4.
Like a 4, a solid 4. Because of the ending and me not fully like understanding what they were going for, I think I'm going to have to replay it. So I'm gonna put it at a 6.2 because
Gotcha.
I want to replay it because I want to understand it, and especially when the prelude comes out, I'm gonna replay it probably after I play the prelude. So I'm gonna replay it. It's over half because I know I'm going to. So,
Right.
but is there any specific reason you wouldn't replay it? Is it just the ending?
It's just because it's the same kind of game. You're gonna get the same experience again. So if you've played it once, yeah, you're gonna have different dialogue choices on what you can say in the meantime. But I mean, it's essentially the same kind of story. That's kind of why.
That's totally valid and fair. Where would you put it on a fun factor?
I think it's 7.5. Yeah.
7.5. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I would put it definitely at an 7.9 for me, for sure. It's not quite an 8, but it's very close. I feel like there was a lot of dialogue choices, and I would like to see a little bit more variation on the puzzles. Would have sent it over the top for me to an 8. But other than that, like a 7.5 feels like it's a solid amount.
Right.
So where would you put it on a cost factor? And just for reference, when we talk about cost, guys, we're talking about the base cost of it on the Steam marketplace without a sale or anything. What it goes for right now on May 9th is $24.99.
That is kind of pricey because this game is. I beat it in. Let's see, what is my total play time? Like 4.3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So to play a game once and beat it in 4.3
like $5
hours.
an hour.
Yeah, like it's kind of just spendy. We're rating it on the price.
Right? Yeah. Out of 10, yeah.
A 5.
A 5. Okay, gotcha. I will write that down. I do not agree with it, but I will write it down.
I think if it was like $15, it would definitely be price worthy. Or like, I don't know, it just if there was something else in it that could like beg me to like play it again for like another like it's just like such a short kind of game, and I feel like there's so much more to build off of that like it's just a little bit price heavy comparatively to like other games we've talked about. They get a lot more bang for $25 out of.
No, I get where you're coming from. I think I'm blindsided by my love for this game, to be honest, by the world building and my love for the art and the sound. So I would put it at a 7. I think I've played a lot worse games for a lot more money. I didn't buy Redfall, but Redfall. So there's a lot worse games you could buy for a lot more money, and I think that a 7 for me is accurate to how I feel about the cost. But also totally read. You're just saying now it is currently on sale. I know we said that we base it off of the it's priced when it's not on sale, but it is currently on sale. So if you're looking to pick up this game and you're listening to this podcast right now, it's on sale for like $7. So go pick it up.
Yeah.
Also, I thought that the prelude wasn't out. It's apparently it is out. It released on February 2nd, 2023, and
Oh,
that is
nice.
that is
So it just came out.
$14.99. Yeah, it came out this year, like 3 months ago. So I didn't know that. I thought it wasn't out yet, but it is out. So I might have to.
I was gonna say
Get
I'm
playing
looking
that
at
soon.
the store page right now.
It's on sale right now for $11.99. But it looks pretty good. Anyways, yeah, that's where I would put it on the score. Where would you put it out of 10 for uniqueness?
Probably like a good like 8.5. You know, like
Need a specific number, Tim.
okay. 8.2.
8.2 sounds good. Any specific reason it's 8.2?
I mean, I just love the ties it makes to society, but it also like the kind of post-apocalypticness going on and the animal kind of life forms that have taken over and made their own society is really cool. You know, I also love the noir kind of aspect of the game. You know, it's just something that's really cool. I just, like I said, I wish it would have stuck with the noir aspect a little bit more. You know, like
That's fair. Yeah, that is fair. I will say that for me, I'm kind of a sucker for noir, and also I really like essays about society and shit. So like I'm very into this game. I really like this game, and I may be biased, but I'm giving it a 9 for uniqueness. I haven't played anything like this ever,
right.
and I really love it. So I'm giving it a 9.
Okay, so I'm just looking at the store page as while we're talking, and one of the last pictures is like all of like the high society members standing in a row, and it just says sermon in like the fucking thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, so definitely the preludes are pretty dark. Like they got straight up rituals going on and everything. Like,
Oh, I see that. Yeah, I'm looking at it right. For reference, this is what he's talking about. Here, we drag it over. Boop. If you're on the live version of this podcast, you can also see our podcast live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. But if you want to look at the VODs, they're always on YouTube on
yeah.
the Block Bros podcast. So yeah, you're talking about this right here, though.
Yeah, no, that's a
Dork.
super like dark image right there I've ever seen. Like, oh my god damn. Now we're making ties to like shit like this too, which is
Well,
awesome.
that was one of the things that they talked about in the first game, though. They talk about, or in BackBone, the game we're talking about right now, was that the eating of other people was a ritualistic thing, not even like it had nothing to do with like high society or low society. It was like a ritualistic thing, which is why Clarissa was trying to protect people. Was apparently one of the draws for the story, I guess.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite part of this game and a least favorite part? I think I already know. If I had to guess, I think I know your least favorite part.
Favorite part, definitely like the art style in this game. It's like top freaking notch. It's some of the best, like, you know, I don't think I've ever seen anything that's gonna top that pixel art for probably a while now, until like I probably eventually play the prelude, just because I'm so confused and I'm seeking answers like that bad.
Help us out. Somebody who made this game, come talk to us. Hit us up at blogbustpod at gmail.com.
But yeah, least favorite part, it just makes it go, what? I mean, the game just, honestly, it's such an abrupt end too that you're just fucking confused. It's like, and credits. I'm like, what? Like, it's over. Yeah, it's over. Like, you left me on that. Yeah, begging for it's begging for more, and it's begging for more of. I just want answers. Like,
I think it's supposed to be like an M. Night Shyamalan gut punch twist. Like, I think that's really what the ending was supposed to be. Which I'm not saying it was well executed, but I if I had to guess, that's what I think it is. I don't know. For me, my favorite part, it's so minimal, but I don't know. It threw me through a loop when I first saw it. Was on the loading screen is just a cigarette being smoked.
yeah,
and I really love that. The little tiny parts about this game, the little things just are so amazing and so good, and they do them so well. And the art style that ties into the art style that Tom was talking about. Just like the art style was one of the best noir art styles I've seen ever. So,
Right.
least favorite. I don't want to say the same thing as you. I didn't like how two
I mean, you can
dimensional Renee.
agree with it. You know,
Yeah, I agree with it, but I didn't like how two dimensional Renee was. I really didn't like her character very much, almost at all.
Yeah, I mean,
I
yeah,
think that the game could have done well without her, actually, as a whole. Because like she was like, I'm a journalist that's trying to take over the try to blow this big story, but then she was so flip floppity and didn't really contribute anything until the very end. So I
right.
don't know.
Yeah, every one of my answers to Renee was like always like in the answers you can make was always like generally the worst one or maybe a passive one. I'm like, I'm not, because the game always hints at like I can trust you. I'm like, I literally just met you. Of course I'm not fucking trusting you. Like, no.
Yeah, it kind of forced you to trust her, which I didn't agree with at
I'm
all.
like, I'm like, bro, no, I just like fucking make me tea. And I'm like, what, bitch? We just fucking met. What do you mean make me tea? Like,
Yeah. One of the other things that we didn't even talk about, but like just like that, it goes into characters really well. Like we talked about that, but there's this part where fucking Harold, the main character, calls his mom, and that's just really wholesome. I don't know, like he's in there in Renee's apartment, and he calls his mom just to be like, I'm okay, and I love you, mom. Like, and he was like, oh my god, like what the fuck? That was just out of nowhere. So I just really enjoyed that. It made
yeah,
him feel very real and honest.
yeah.
And also just the fact that he's kind of a coward was really interesting because you get to make a lot of choices, but at the end of the day, your character is kind of a fucking coward.
Oh yeah,
So
you're always scared.
and like I like that. I like that he was like because like there's a lot of dialogue like where when you first discover that this is a spoiler when you discover the body. He like goes out into the rain and he just starts vomiting everywhere, and like that was a really powerful scene too. But then like he's just like sitting in a park bench and he's like, "Why me? Like, what the fuck should I do? Should I just ignore this? Should I just not?" And like you get a call from like the woman, and you got to like either lie to her and tell her that her husband's, what actually happened to her husband or whatever. But like you can choose to be a coward, and like you almost leaned into being a coward, and it's a really powerful statement about like the raccoon's humanity and like what it takes to actually break a person, or in this case, a raccoon. And I don't know. I really thought it was a very in depth look into the main character that I liked a lot. So
Right.
maybe I read too much into it. I don't know. With that being said, is there any games that it reminds you of?
God damn. Trying to think of like just other kind of like detective games I've played. Honestly, just no, not off the top of my head. Honestly, I can't really think of like a lot this reminds me of. Can you just think of anything and might jostle me like a bit
LA
here?
Noir, maybe.
I mean, kind of, yeah.
It's a
I can
noir
see
game, or
that.
Genesis Noir because it's a noir game. But as
Yeah.
far as choices, like the way the dialogue works, it reminds me of and this is like a stretch, but I would say it reminds me of Disco Elysium. Have you ever seen that game or played that game? The choices are different, but like they still have a very similar setup to where there's multiple choices and you pick one, and it changes the outcome of things. But that game relies a lot more heavily on the dialogue, and it actually changes the game a lot more
Yeah,
than this
that's how I
game.
was trying to think. I was gonna like try to mention like Heavy Rain, but then I'm like, but the choices you make actually matter so much in that game. You know, like this, it feels like the choices you matter point you in the same
Negligible.
direction. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. I guess the choices in this game are storytelling devices, and the choices in other games are story making devices. You know what I mean?
that's true.
That was good. I'm gonna quote myself on that. I sound cool when I said that. But no, I can't think of anything that's like a one-to-one comparison, which also leads me to feel like my score of it being incredibly unique was justified. So I don't know. Just saying out loud. And then lastly, how much would you recommend this game
Um,
out of 10?
like a 7.7.
7.7.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely would give it an 8 because for the right person, this game is gold. Like for me, this game is gold. So I really, really enjoyed it. But I could understand also people not liking the ending, not liking the comparisons it makes to real life. And then I just have to average the numbers to get our final score because I forgot that I have to do that. One sec. So everyone hold tight while I average numbers because I'm great at my job. It's not like I do this for free. I totally forgot that we do that. It's something new we're doing where we give an actual score to the game because I know a lot of people may not listen to the podcast all the way through, but they still want to hear what we think about the game. Actually, a lot of people have told me that they're like, I don't like listening to podcasts, but I want to hear, what you came up with for the score. So that's what I'm doing really quick here. I have a feeling I know where it's going to be about, but I could be wrong. Almost done. Sorry, copy pasting a lot. We average it on a couple things here. Every time in the podcast we said, a score out of 10. That's what we take all those numbers and we average them out of 10. Almost done. Sorry. Should have been doing this halfway through. Copy, comma, paste. All right. I think we are good to go. Average those numbers for me, computer. You don't got to tell me how to average numbers. You're just supposed to do it for me. All right, you ready for the average out of 10, Tom? Where this lands?
Yeah.
BackBone, the gritty noir detective game, is a 7.8 out of 10 for the Black Bros official rating.
Gotcha.
Which I don't think that's the highest we've ever done.
No.
I'm pretty sure it's not, but it is. It's a good game. It's a good game. I think that's a pretty solid rating for this game. I would like to see it higher, but I'm biased, obviously. So.
Yeah. It could be like a bit higher. It just like there's a few points that I think just brings my score down a bit, So
Totally fair. With that being said, guys, that's the podcast. That's everything about that you need to know about BackBone. Thanks for hanging out. And we'll do the outro now. So if you are a developer that wants to talk about your game on the show, you can email us at blackrospodcast@gmail.com. That's blackrospodcast@gmail.com. And if you want us to talk about a specific game, you can either drop us a line on social media. It's either Black Bros Pod or Black Bros Podcast on every single social media, or you can shoot us an email at the email I just fucking talked about. Don't forget to rate us on whatever you're listening to us on. It really does help us reach a wider audience range and get like advertising dollar dues, and it helps us a lot. If you want to download the game, we'll have a link in the bio. Full disclosure, we get a kickback if you decide to purchase it. And also, Black Bros Podcast is a Las Cas media production, and the opening theme was 8-Bit Fun by the Heatley Bros. So we'll catch you guys next time, and until then, bye.
Bye.